no one expects them. Greetings, everyone. I'm glad to be here, and I'm glad that you are here. Today's nonsense, oh boy, I feel very confident calling this nonsense, is in Historic, and we are playing one of my favorite cards, well, honestly, favorite cards ever, really, but that has come about in recent memory, is Teleportation Circle. 4 mana. At the beginning of your end step, you may exile up to one target artifact or creature you control, then return that card to the battlefield under its owner's control. So, in this deck, we're pretty much exclusively using it to exile creatures here. Blade Splicers, when it enters, you make a 3/3, and all golems have first strike as long as it's around, but you make a 3/3, right? So we exile the Blade Splicer, we get another dude, right? Okay, kind of nice. Skyclave Cleric, it both is a land, but when it enters, you gain 2 life, right? Viashino Pyromancer, when it enters, deals 2 damage to target player, Planeswalker, so even for in a board stall situation, we can still find a way to kill our opponent. Thraben Inspector, when it enters, investigate. Voldaren Epicure, when it enters the battlefield, deal 1 damage to each opponent created blood token, right? So the blood tokens, of course, also similar to the Thraben Inspector, this one just draws us a card, but the blood token allows us to discard a card, then draw a card. So you can see we top out at 4. We really don't ever need more than 4 mana, except to activate the Bugbear, basically. So being able to discard cards, very, very good. Things like that. The other things we're doing here, a little bit of Lightning Helix action, a little bit of Ephemerate to both exile at instant speed, but also just have backups for these. Restoration Angel, similarly, is 3/3 or 3/4 flying, which is a fine body when it's flash. And then when it enters battlefield, exile a non-angel. So another kind of backup Teleportation Circle, but also just allows us to be a little more aggressive here, right? And last but not least, Fable of the Mirror Breaker, folks. When it enters, create a 2/2 that whenever it attacks, you make a treasure. So kind of a Captain Lannery Storm thing. On Saga number 2, you may discard up to 2 cards if you do draw that many. So again, another way to filter through our library. But on the backside, you can pay 1 and tap it, create a token that's a copy of another non-legendary creature you control, except it has haste, sacrifice at the beginning of the next end step. So, similar to our teleportation circles and things, it does that thing. But it also gives us an extra body to swing with. If maybe we were doing these other things. One other kind of secret sauce that happens here is Sigardian Evangel. 2 mana, 3/1. When it enters, conjure a card named Sigardian Evangel to your hand. Discard that card at the beginning of the next end step. When Sigardian Evangel enters the battlefield, tap target permanent you don't control. So, this is sweet because, you know, if we have 6 mana down, you go Sigardian Evangel, it gives you another one. Sigardian Evangel gives you another one. Sigardian Evangel gives you another one. Of course, you have to discard it. But if we have a situation where we are teleportation circling, or more likely restoration angeling or ephemerating, we can be adding these cards to our hand. Now, it's true at the beginning of the next end step, not your next end step. So if we do teleportation circle Sigardian Evangel, we do have to, you know, discard that on their turn. But that's okay, right? Because there are plenty of effects that sometimes maybe your opponent's making a discard and stuff like that, where you might just need another card in hand, so you don't have to discard the other cards you have or whatever. But importantly, Restoration Angels, Ephemerates, and Reflection of Kiki-Jiki, which there are 7 of in this deck, can all be done at instant speed. So if we do this at their end step, so it's not the beginning of the end step anymore, it's at their end step, we can add it to our hand, and then we'll have one at the beginning of the next turn. And of course, we would have to discard at the end of that turn, but we just, you know, jam them all on the board and pass the turn, you know? So, really looking forward to this brew, folks. I think it's going to be a lot of fun, so let's go see if it actually is. All right, folks, here we are up against Jinago. Good luck, Jinago. And yeah, I think we're going to keep this. Really, really awkward hand. We don't do anything until turn 3. And, you know, it's difficult to envision winning games of Historic that way, but we're hoping to draw into things to do. The 4th land, not quite what we wanted just yet, though admittedly, eventually we would want it. Just anything at 1 or 2 mana would be great. Please, Thraben Inspectors, Voldaren Epicures, Viashino Pyromancers, Lightning Helixes, Skyclave Cleric. Heck, we would take that. Just anything at all to do in these early turns, please. Finn the Fangbearer. Oh boy. Hey, well, that's a good one. We are glad to have that. Alright. We're gonna wait until our opponent tries to get into combat here. Alright, and Hooded Blightfang. Well, we will get rid of Finn. And yeah. How about Skyclave Apparition to eat the Hooded Blightfang? Don't mind if I do. Opponent has another Hooded Blightfang. Alright, well, folks, we're going to Teleportation Circle. No. No attacks. We will give you your 3/3 back. But we're going to take this Hooded Blightfang away. Your go. Opponent, your go. Vampire of the Dire Moon comes down. It has Death Touch and Lifelink. We're going to take 3 for our troubles. Hey, here we go. Blade Splicer is a good one. No attacks. And the turn. Teleportation Circle, going to exile the Blade Splicer, bring it back, give us another First Striking Golem. You gotta love them things, folks. You gotta love them things. And sure enough, Janango. Scooping him up. Sorry about that, Janango. Sorry about that. Good game. Alright, folks. We're up against Bowtie. Good luck, Bowtie. I would love to keep this, but the 4 teleportation circles, we just can't justify it. We're going to mulligan. This hand is better, so we're pretty happy we did. We're going to keep the 6, send back Ephemerate, I guess. We have the teleportation circle after all, so we shouldn't need it. And we're going to start on Den of the Bugbear. Oh, there's Dragon's Rage Channeler. That is a scary, scary magic card, folks. All right. And Bowtie appears to be on, you know, Arclight Phoenix stuff. This, pretty normal, average, everyday stuff. Of course, our opponent has no idea what we're doing. I am confident of that. One of the advantages of having or playing decks that are wild and crazy and off the wall is that no one expects them. That's for sure. Hey, here comes Thraben Inspector. You gotta love that. Yeah, I think we're just gonna Sigardian Evangel here anyway. Yep. We get to make a Sigardian Evangel, and then it just gets discarded immediately. Inconvenient. I don't expect to have the ability to flicker this a bunch, but we'll see. We'll see. Opponent has Opt into Spire Bluff Canal, Unholy Heat, and Consider? Perhaps? Opponent sends a mountain over. No. Doesn't. Hey, I love it. I love it. Let's see. Instant. Sorcery. Land. Alright, well. Direfleet Daredevil. Come on down. Go and grab a Pillar of Flame. Getcha. And get that thing out of here. Love it! Alright. Bowtie has a Sprite Dragon. Oh boy, Ephemerate? Don't mind if I do. Alright. We're going to attack for 2. We are going to Ephemerate. Yep. Come on back. And hit the Unholy Heat just in case they can pump it one time. We wouldn't want it to... we We wouldn't want our opponent to be able to gain advantage by putting up a counter on it. We could have exiled it, and we would have loved to exile it. This helps towards our opponent's delirium, but... Alright. We're going to exile Direfleet Daredevil. Hit a Spike Field Hazard. And we're going to cast Spike Field Hazard. Bowtie's very likely a little salty here, I think. Viashino Pyromancer enters the battlefield. We're going to target that planeswalker, or that player. Or planeswalker. Yep. Opponent has a Consider. Land goes over. New card hits the hand. And they pass. Okay. Combat. We're going to crash in for 5. But, folks, Teleportation Circle going to finally enter. Because we want to be able to start using our Daredevil again as well. And Teleportation Circle going to target our Viashino Pyromancer. Viashino Pyromancer going to leave. Come back in. Target that player. They drop to 6. And scoop! We got him, folks! We got him! Taste it! Oh, folks, I love it. GG, opponent, GG. Alright, folks, here we are up against Huge Bean. Good luck, Huge Bean. And yeah, I think we're gonna keep it. What have you got? They're a Gigantha companion. So oftentimes that's like Niv Mizzet Reborn or something, but there are mono red builds that do it. Oh yeah. This looks like kind of one of those. It may not be mono red, it appears to be obviously Gruul, but you get the idea. Like very, very aggressive deck that does not care what you're up to, just going to try and come at your face early, often, and fast. So yes, I choose to block. Do you have a pump spell? Darkest Command. Yep. You got us. You got us. Well, Sigardian Evangel. Come on down. Yep. Well, we have to discard. Not strictly thrilled about that, but it's okay. Opponent takes card for the turn, up to 4 in hand. Shocks in a Sacred Foundry. Wow, was not expecting that. Cannot yet activate Grim Lavamancer. Would have to cast a spell first. It's another Tarkus command. All right. Whoa. They goofed a bit. Oh, okay. I guess it just didn't matter. I see what they're doing. Okay. Yeah, these things are fine. So we're going to Sigardian Evangel again. Tap that fella down. And pass the turn. Of course, now we've got to discard it again. Not thrilled about it, but it is a 3-1, folks. Keep in mind, that is the point. And we're ready, willing, and able to pop an Ephemerate to save it and allow us to flood the board in the future. Opponent goes with Shock to make things interesting on us. All right, so we are going to Ephemerate. Get another one, tap down the Grim Lavamancer. No, we're going to decline to cast here. And just go Sigardian Evangel. Sigardian Evangel. And attack for 3. Yep, opponent takes it down to 15. We have to discard. Not a big deal. Of course, Tarkus commands and Lightning Helixes are very annoying. We're expecting to lose probably both of these Sigardian Evangels here this turn, but maybe our opponent just elects to get as much damage as possible. The Tarkus command, pretty scary here. Yep. Okay. Well, I think we do have to trade because we're already at 6, right? That is not ideal. Alright, so Teleportation Circle. Thraben Inspector. Investigate, get in for 6. Yep. We're gonna go ahead, exile, and return a Sigardian Evangel to get an opportunity to tap that down. It's already tapped, so it doesn't really do anything, but we also add a brand new Sigardian Evangel to hand. Yugbane has a Soul Scar Mage. And a Light Up the Stage. Gonna Prowess. And Exile 6 damage. Okay. That isn't going to do it. Darn it, folks. We needed a Lightning Helix or a Skyclave Cleric or something like that. Even a Direfleet Daredevil would have been awesome. Did not get it. Alright. We get in. I can't imagine our opponent screws this up. But, you know. Maybe. They just point it all at our face and we die. No! Alright. Well, darn it, Yugbane, you got us. That was a really good match, folks. I really like what our opponent's deck was about there. Admittedly, I think they got a really strong draw from their deck. When you can see 2 Lightning Helix and 3 Atarkus Command, those are some of the most powerful spells on the entire client. But they did, right? You put them in. Sometimes you put good cards in your deck, you draw them. Well, darn it, our opponent drew them, and they were really good, right? So, man, I'm feeling a little inspired. I may have to do something like that in the future. All right. All right, folks, here we are up against JWM 1972, and we're going to keep this. Skyclave Cleric is one of those cards that we kind of like having around in some of these matchups for, like, mono red and stuff, but it's also very important that it can be a land. So it is serving that function here, and we are going to just start on Skyclave Basilica right off the bat, because we want to be able to cast our white spells, and we're going to need a second white. Hey, speak of the devil, there it is. Before we can cast, you know, all of them or whatever, but yep. Sigardian Evangel discards from our hand. JWM 1972 plays a Raugrin Triumph and passes. Yeah, all right. We're going to cast another one. We're kind of walking right into a board sweeper here coming up. But what do you do? We need them to do it. If they're going to be... I think, first of all, folks, I think this matchup is going to be rough for us a lot of the time anyway. So we want to put our opponent in a spot where they have to have it. And not give them time to get out of this, right? So, for instance, we're going to represent lethal this turn if they don't do anything. All right. And opponent. Well, folks, we're going for it. We're going for it. Hey, we got him. That was scary, folks. That was scary. These colors of mana have, you know, a whole bunch of potential removal and interaction and stuff. So when they didn't have it, I assume they were probably waiting for Settle Wreckage, is probably what our opponent was holding up for. And so the Restoration Angel being able to get a Sigardian Evangel to tap down a land meant you don't get Settle anymore, right? You don't get Settle anymore. So we still were running a little bit of a risk there by not being able to, you know, we don't have a follow-up here. If they do have some kind of way of stopping us from killing them. But they didn't, so we got them. GG, opponent, GG. Oh my goodness, that was stinking wild. Let me tell you, the deck did really well. It was, yeah, I don't think it's going to break the meta anytime soon, but we only played a few games. We played like 4 games. We had a win against Death Touch. We had a win against Arclight Phoenix. That was a really sweet match. We had, you know, one of those wins where our opponent was trying to set something up, and then we just disrupted them with tapping things down with Sigardian Evangel, so they couldn't settle the wreckage us. And then we did also lose to a really, really sweet spell-based deck. That was cool. But, you know, we went 3-1. That is really good. Admittedly, it's a very, very small sample size as well. But man, I had a great time playing it. Was the more important thing. Now, would I expect it to maintain a 75% win rate going into the future? Probably not. It'll probably settle back down to the earth. I do think, though, this is a deck that has enough power level in key spots where you could probably maintain a 50% win rate with it pretty easily, and probably greater than that. So if you were looking for a deck to complete your red and white quests that was kind of aggressive, but also had a little play to it, was a little fun, I would absolutely recommend crafting this deck, folks. As far as things you might change, well, I don't know. We didn't see the Fable of the Mirror Breaker this match. We did see it in the Pro Tour and stuff doing just absolutely wildly crazy things. So I would want to see how this works. So I would keep this around at least until we figure out how good it is. It is slow though, so there's that. One of the cool things about it though is we can reset the saga if we want to. So for instance, if the opponent goes, oh, Day of Judgment, we can Ephemerate and the Fable of the Mirror Breaker, and it will come back as a saga. Now, admittedly, it'll create the 2/2, which means it'll die to the Doomscar or whatever. But then, you know, we get to save our reflection. You know, we do get to do the discard and draw thing, which is really powerful. And then we make the reflection of Kiki-Jiki later. And theoretically, we can also just reset it with Teleportation Circle at will. So let's just say there's not a lot going on right now. Maybe we're flooding out in the late game. We top deck a Fable of the Mirror Breaker. Okay, good. We pop down, get a 2/2, and the opponent goes, okay, bolt your 2/2. And we're like, all right. Well, okay, just exile it. Boom, get our 2/2 back, and great. Alternatively, let's say the reflection is, and we would have to wait to draw and discard, obviously, or discard and draw, and then flip. But I'm just saying it's a thing you can do later. But, you know, it's also just a thing where maybe you want more action, where a reflection's flipped and you don't have anything to copy yet. You can just Teleportation Circle, exile the reflection of Kiki-Jiki to get the 2/2, to do the discarding and drawing. So make sure you hold on to some number of lands for that. As far as things you might change, again, the Viashino Pyromancers were actually really good. We might want maybe a few more of these somehow. Similarly, the Direfleet Daredevil really, really wrecked the Arclight Phoenix deck, and I think that was kind of key. Well, I mean, it was absolutely key in that victory. I don't know if we would have won or not if it hadn't been for Direfleet Daredevil being able to cast like 17 spells from their graveyard. But it's also worth considering that maybe it's worth a couple more spots, because it's also 2/1 first strike, you know, so it's not terrible in combat either. So I don't know. Definitely the sort of thing where it would be worth looking at. To potentially change. As far as the rest of it goes, you also might consider changing the land base. We kept 23 lands because we really do want to get to 4 pretty bad. But maybe we could go down as far as like 21 and just have 3 Skyclave Clerics, potentially, right? I think if you did that, you'd probably want to not have the Den of the Bugbears. Because I don't think the Shuffler always treats MDFCs like they're actual lands sometimes, so you might end up getting a little bit stuck. And this really only works when you get to 5 mana. Obviously, technically it works at 4, but not a thing you want at 4. So, I don't know. All those things, though, I think absolutely worthwhile and a ton of fun. The only other thing you might consider is the Skyclave Apparition does give them illusions back, but currently we don't have any way to get those illusions off the battlefield outside of Lightning Helixes and combat damage, basically, you know. So maybe something like a Brutal Cathar, that when it enters, exile a creature an opponent controls until it leaves the battlefield, right? So if we exile something with Skyclave Apparition, having Brutal Cathar or Portable Hole, keep in mind, this does say exile up to 1 target artifact or creature, so Portable Hole can be exiled and brought back. So we could get rid of the tokens that way. Portable Hole is much better in the more aggressive things. Brutal Cathar just attacks. If the board is empty, it's kind of a nice thing to be able to do to be able to attack. It's also notable, Ephemerate does not hit artifacts, Restoration Angel does not hit artifacts, only creatures. Reflection of Kiki-Jiki, only creatures, right? So All of those things worth noting, but folks, I absolutely would encourage you to build it. Deck was fun. Deck was fun. So that said, I appreciate everybody who watched, and I will look forward to our next meeting.